Assalamualaikum and good morning to the people watching news. My name is Noraida Jane and I will be your host for today's talk. With me today is Encik Ashraf from the Johor Bahru Environmental Consultant Firm. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me today.
Okay, because we have Encik Ashraf today, the people in news found an interesting topic for today's talk, and that is flash flood. As you know, flash flood is a wide world phenomenon that's happening everywhere. Specifically, there are two types of flooding that occurs in Malaysia, which are monsoon flood and flash flood. Monsoon flood normally happens around the month of May until August, which is the southwest monsoon, and around the month of November until February, which is the northeast monsoon. So, without further ado, let me introduce the watcher on the news concerning about flash flood in Johor Bahru. On the 10th October 2018, there was a flash flood occurred at Kampung Muhammad Amin, which caused 56 victims relocated to Esken Nongtik. The flood occurred after the 2 hours downpour caused floodwater to rise along some main road of Johor Bahru city. Encik Ashraf, you are one of the consultants involved in this case. So you know, right, when does this flash flood happen?
Okay. On the late evening, which around 4:30 p.m., a heavy rainfall continued almost 1 hour, causing the flash flood at affected area, which are Kampung Muhammad Amin and other places such as Jalan Kolam Air, Tasik Merdeka, and Hospital Sultanah Aminah. This incident causing the victims to spend the night at Sekolah Kebangsaan Nong Chik. There are 51 victims and from 11 families, and they were relocated to the flood evacuation center at 6:30 in the evening. The flood occurred after the 2 hour downpour caused the floodwaters to rise along some main roads of the Johor Bahru city.
We have more information from Miss Najia on site to tell us what's happening there. Hello, Miss Najia.
Hello and thank you Aida. Assalamualaikum and hello, I am Najah Kamurzaman. Currently, I am in Kampung Muhammad Amin to observe the whole situation of flash flood happening in here. We could conclude several factors causing the flash flood resulted from our investigation and observation. The simplest explanation for the flooding is of course due to the heavy rainfall. The drainage system cannot hold a large amount of the rainfall and eventually causing flood to occur. The situation could be either there is heavy rainfall for a very short period or there may be light rains for many days and weeks, which both become the main reason for the flash flood. This phenomena happens during the monsoon seasons, which in Malaysia commonly called as the rainy season. As you can see here, the most obvious reason is the topography of Kampung Muhammad Amin itself, which is located lower than the upstream of this river, which is called as Sungai Chat. The height difference between both ground level is approximately 1 meter. Hence, the river runoff can overflow the banks that leads to flooding. Due to this situation, this problem arises when there is heavy rainfall causing more water in the upstream than usual and sunny days. And the runoff eventually will overflow downstream to the adjacent low-lying area, and for this case, the low-lying area is the Kampung Muhammad Amin. This becomes worsened that the Sungai Chat is supposed to be discharged to the sea, but the runoff becomes slower due to the existence of the dumping area nearby the Sungai Chat that will physically block the flow of river into the sea, which is called the Johor Straits. Another factor resulted from our research is the inadequate drainage, which can be the main cause of this flash flood. This is because many of our cities are made of mostly concrete and other impermeable materials, and Kampung Muhammad Amin only has urban drainage basin that is made of entirely concrete, which there is no groundwater to sink and flow into. So, when those drainage basins fills up, it will overflow and lead to flooding in Kampung Muhammad Amin. I think that summarizes of what's the reason and factor causing the flash flood in Kampung Muhammad Amin. We will go back to Aida in the studio. Thank you.
Oh, I see. It's quite bad, the situation there. There must be an impact towards this situation. Here, I have more question for Encik Ashraf about flash flood. So, let me ask Encik Ashraf, what is the impact of flash flood that occur in that area?
Well, many people and animals have perished in flash floods and others have been made homeless. Yes, there must be shelters at the temporary relief centers, schools, halls, and monasteries. Flooding brings a lot of disease and infection, including fever, pneumonia, and dysentery. There are some other impacts that we can discuss. And the first one is the riverbank erosion and sedimentation. So, riverbank erosion is caused by the high and fast moving water that exceeds the riverbanks. The impact of this case is most felt in developed area like Kampung Muhammad Amin. Sediment may act as a form of non-point source water pollution that can clog the riverbeds and streams as well as reduce storage capacity for the reservoir and wetlands. Floodwaters can carry large amount of sediments and leave deposits behind once floodwaters recede. If extreme enough, sedimentation can degrade the water quality and temporarily affect the municipal, industrial, and also the recreational water supply. And the second one is the dispersal of the nutrients and pollution. Floodwater can contain debris, pollutants, and also nutrients. Debris can include trees and stones or even pieces of houses. Pollutant in floodwater, such as bacteria and pesticide, can be carried far distance. Sedimentation and turbidity can result in the growth of the algae and phytoplankton blooms that jeopardize the water quality. The important nutrients and mineral deposits can also be dispersed by the water, resulting in the improved plant growth and also the overall ecosystem health. Over time, the nutrients, organic material, and also the sediment carried by the floodwaters and deposit on the landscape can provide the fertility benefits. And the third one is the hindering economic growth and development. The high cost of the relief and recovery may adversely impact investment in the infrastructure and also the other development activities in the area. And it certainly may cripple the frail economy of the region. The recurrent flooding in the region may discourage the long-term investment by the government and private sector alike. Lack of livelihoods combined with the migration of the skilled labor and inflation may have a negative impact on the region's economic growth. Loss of the resources can lead to high costs of goods and services, delay its development programs. Next is the political implications. The effective response to relief operations during the major flood events may lead to public discontent or loss of trust in the authorities of the state and national governments. The lack of development in flood-prone areas may cause social inequality and even social unrest, posing threat to peace and stability in the region. And next, we can discuss is the decreased purchasing and production power. The damage to the infrastructure also causes the long-term impacts, such as disruption to the clean water and electricity, the transport, the communication, education, and healthcare. The loss of the livelihoods, reduction in purchasing power, and loss of the land value in the floodplains to increase the vulnerabilities of the communities living additional cost of the rehabilitation, relocation of the people, and removal of the property from the flood affected areas can divert the capital required for the maintenance production. And last but not least is the huge psychosocial effects. On the floor, victims and their families can traumatize them for long periods of time. The loss of loved ones can generate deep impacts, especially on the children. Displacement from one's home, loss of the property and the livelihoods, and disruption to the business and social affairs can cause continuing stress. The stress also of the overcoming these losses can be overwhelmed and produce the lasting psychological impacts.
Okay. Now we know the impact of flash flood. There must be a solution. I have Miss Atika with me on video to tell us the solution that needed to be done. Hello, Miss Atika.
Hello, my name is Nur Atika binti Muhammad Razali and I work as MBJB engineer. Regarding flash flood at Kampung Muhammad Amin, actually we have a few solutions to solve repetitive flood. First and foremost, a residential area of Kampung Muhammad Amin was located at the downstream, which is lower than the river bank by 1 meter and 36 millimeter rainfall. Thus, a Majlis Bandaraya Johor Bahru (MBJB) have conducting a research to provide pump addition at the affected area. We have installed 3 water pumps with 45 kilowatt at Kampung Muhammad Amin and 2 water pumps with 17 kilowatt at Sekolah Sukan to remediate this problem. The function of water pump is to pump out water rainfall from the drain to a river so that the drain will not fill up with water rainfall, and it also helps to speed up flood water being moved to the river during the flood. MBJB also proposed a waterway at reclamation area for water river from Sungai Chat by enlargement of the river estuary in front of Sungai Chat Watergate, which done by Pemaju Tropicana. Before this, water river from Sungai Chat is forced through a long way to be released into the sea due to reclamation area at the estuary of Sungai Chat. This is a map that highlighting the location of the catchment area. The development in the surrounding area of Kampung Muhammad Amin contribute to the increase in runoff and causing the river has no longer capacity to pass the flow during large storm events. After making some changes to the reclamation area, water river from Sungai Chat can be directly to be released into the sea. Lastly, this solution is still under consideration. We propose to build a storage pond of flood attenuation. It is possible to use reservoirs like the used mini pond for flood storage. They consist of permanent pond area with landscape banks and surrounding to provide additional storage capacity during rainfall events. They are created by using an existing natural depression, by excavating a new depression, or by construction embankments. The aim is to divert the flood water through such pond and thereby control the outflow in order to attenuate the peak of flow. Water in the pond will be released slowly back to the river, so no more excessive water at downstream. At the same time, storage pond also encourage the elimination of contaminants by sedimentation, while additional control is offered by aquatic vegetation and biological absorption mechanism. Next, where ponds are designed as permanent wet, new wildlife habitat is created, increasing the biodiversity of the catchment.
Thank you, Miss Atika. From all the information gathered from Miss Najiha, Atika, and Encik Ashraf, we can conclude that flash flood occurrence in Kampung Muhammad area are in fact the result of the combination of various factors, either naturally or man-made. Viewed from the causes of flash flood, the measures taken by the government are certainly inadequate to stop the flooding. Climate change is expected to affect flooding through change in rainfall, temperature, sea level, and river process. Thus, will cause the existing effect of flooding on infrastructure and community service, such as road, stormwater, and etc. Due to its frequency, flash flood is fast becoming an environmental hazard, especially in the low-lying area and in the development site. The government, MBJB, has been taking a number of measures in order to reduce or putting a stop to flooding. Some of these measures, such as building of pump and river improvement, are beginning to show some result in some areas, but new flooded areas are still occurring in localities where drainage facilities are inadequate or lacking. Thus, certain solution needed to be done because there are many considerations that must be taken into account. Therefore, a number of possible measures was proposed so that they can be implemented to effectively prevent flash flood from occurring in Kampung Muhammad Amin areas. That was all we have for today. Thank you, Encik Ashraf, for coming in.
Thank you for having me today.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So for more news update, keep on watching news. Thank you.
Thank you.